Government is increasing its power over what goes on inside our homes and in our private lives. It's all part of a push to keep us all safe from domestic violence, which we're all being given a very strong message is on the rise. Although, as we showed on this show a few weeks back, homicide data just doesn't support that. And if homicides in domestic settings are on the decrease, as they have been consistently since 1989, then it's a strong indicator that all domestic violence is on the decrease. Despite the horrible stories that we might hear in the news and the short-term spike in the number of murders by intimate partners that we saw in the early part of 2024, there is no sign of a long-term trend shift. The long-term trend is in fact continuing in the right direction. But governments will never let an opportunity to increase their power over us go to waste. So in that vein, the New South Wales Labor government has brought in laws that took effect from the start of this month that make a thing that psychologists define as coercive control a new criminal offence. If this all sounds rather Orwellian, that's because it is. But nobody in mainstream politics or media will ever tell you that. If they criticise this sort of law, they just get labelled a supporter of domestic violence, or worse, a rape apologist. Both truly vile slurs to level at anyone just because they worry about governments meddling in personal relationship areas that are private, subjective and hard to prove. Anyway, to help us understand all this stuff, the founder of Mothers of Sons and men's justice advocate and social commentator, the wonderful Bettina Arndt, joins us. Bettina, thanks very much for taking the time to be on the other side once again.
Thank you, Damien.
Good to see you. Anyone convicted by the state of this new offence, this criminal offence of coercive control in New South Wales, can face 7 years in jail. That is bloody serious stuff. So we ought to know what it is. What actually is this thing called coercive control that psychologists seem to have made up?
Oh, David, just quickly, I think Queensland is going to be 14 years, and that's coming very soon. And all the other states are lining up to follow. The problem is this coercive control is very difficult to define. We're talking about emotional abuse. We're talking about psychological abuse, someone manipulating their partner, intimidating them, putting them down, isolating them from friends and relatives and so on. There's a whole list. You can find 23 different definitions of coercive control. And so it's a very slippery little creature we're dealing with here, but really, really dangerous. Because what coercive control is something that's been invented by a feminist psychologist that's only 20 years ago. It's pretty brand new as a means of getting men sent to jail. That's its purpose, and never forget that.
It's scary, scary, scary stuff. And they love it to be vague, right? The more vague, this is something that communist governments do. I mean, it's what China does. They create very vague laws so they can just kind of charge anybody with anything. If they need to get something on someone, they can just pin it on them. I'll just read what I think this was the New South Wales minister's definition in the press release. The offence oversees a pattern of behaviour that may include financial and emotional abuse, violence and intimidation, threats against pets or loved ones, tracking someone's movements, or isolating them from family and friends. New South Wales Attorney General Michael Daly said it's essential that people feel safe in their relationships. But nobody's going to argue with any of that, right? Nobody's going to say these things are not horrible and wrong and shouldn't happen, and that there shouldn't be some sort of perhaps intervention if the police are needed in some cases. But is this, turning this weird, vague psychological definition or concept into a criminal offence, is this even the role of government, do you think?
Well, clearly it shouldn't be. And it's really alarming that our government is, they're conspiring with a very powerful group of feminists to set up this new system of expanding the definition of domestic violence. That's essentially what it's about. As you said, domestic violence is going down. They have to move the goalposts in order to have more means of locking men up. And this is absolutely what this is all about. I mean, I have police, I have lawyers from across the country writing to me saying this is nightmare, particularly for the police, because no one can define this thing, let alone prove it. It's going to take vast amounts more police time, court time to try to convict people of this offence. They ran into a big problem in New South Wales. These laws were passed over a year ago, and they then suddenly announced we're not going to enact them as yet because we're concerned about women being falsely identified as perpetrators.
Oh my God. Okay, so they actually said, because I was going to ask you, right? Coercive control, psychological control is probably, as opposed to physical violence, is probably something where females might be more the perpetrators than males.
They're really good at this stuff, Damien.
Right. Congratulations.
Women know how to press men's buttons, right?
Right. Did the feminists think about this when they brought this in? I mean, it's a bit...
Well, it's really fascinating because the first state to have coercive control on the books was Tasmania. And they found no one did anything. None of the police didn't charge anyone for a few years. And then they lent heavily on them and they started charging people. And then last year there was an article that came out saying, really worried because women are being charged with coercive control. And so what they've done in New South Wales and they're doing in Queensland is rolling out female police officers into every police station they can to train the police only to target men. And this has been announced as a deliberate strategy. And we've had New South Wales, we've got all these new videos have just come out telling people what coercive control is all about. David, you mentioned the tormenting your partner's pets, and they have a video of a lesbian couple where the woman is pulling on her partner's little pet poodle's leash rather aggressively. I mean,
Well, 7 years in jail for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or 14, as you said, yeah.
It's really worrying. On our Mothers of Sons website, we've got information about how to protect yourself if someone makes a false domestic violence accusation. If you're in an unstable relationship and you fear this could be used against you, what do you do? I mean, so I'm treating it as a joke, which it should be, because it is an absolute con job that we're dealing with here.
Well, this is the thing. We laugh about it.
Really, really serious.
Yeah, we're laughing about it because it's absolutely, completely absurd that we've let this ideology creep this far, that we've now got offences, criminal offences that can land you in jail for 14 years based on the psychology theories of feminist academics that are completely contestable and questionable. And then we've now got the police being trained not to enforce them against women, to bias towards enforcing against men and seeing men as guilty. I mean, this is just a lunacy land that we're living in. So we laugh about it, but it's really serious because this is actually, it's hard to believe, but it's actually happening in our country, and it's getting to this stage. Bettina, tell us, Mothers of Sons.
Mothersofsons.info. But if you Google Mothers of Sons, you usually find it. Now, what's important, we've got, I've talked before, Damien, about this conference. We've got it happening in Sydney on the 31st of August. And we've got some genuine male victims of coercive control, their stories. We have put together a video of their stories for this conference. And 1,000 men in Australia took part in an international survey of male victims of coercive control. These are some of these men. So our conference is about truth telling, showing the other side of the story, to steal your phrase, Damien. And this is what we are doing, telling the truth about false allegations of domestic violence, false allegations of sexual abuse, what the feminist lies have done in terms of controlling our institutions and misrepresenting data. I mean, it's going to be a real revelation to people who only believe the propaganda that's being fed to them by our government.
Now, your conference is happening in Sydney on August the 31st, I understand?
August the 31st. And we've got big excitement, the endless Bruce Lehrmann saga and how he's now appealing his defamation case. And the lawyer who's acting for him is Zali Burrows, who's this just gorgeous woman, really colourful Sydney criminal lawyer. And she's giving a speech. So she's one of the main speakers at our conference now. And we're terribly excited about that.
Oh, good. Well, it'll be great to see.
Oh, you, Damien.
Yes, I'm
You're
going to be one of the
speaking
minor speakers. I'll be coming along to talk about media and stuff. But yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to it. So August 31 in Sydney. How do people find out about the conference, Bettina?
Well, they can go on the Mothers of Sons website. They can go on my website. Then we've got links everywhere. If you just Google it's called Restoring the Presumption of Innocence.
Restoring the Presumption of Innocence. Okay.
It's so exciting. I've had people from all over the country contacting me who want to come along. And it's a rare opportunity to say, what can we do about this? What can we do about what the feminists are doing to our justice system?
Yeah,
and
look, things are just getting ridiculous.
Weaponization against men.
Things are just getting ridiculously out of control. And I think as men in Australia, well, thank you for being a woman that's standing up for us, but I think men in Australia have now got to start to find their courage, stop the, I can't speak out because, I might get fired or I might have trouble at work. I appreciate the difficulties and the fact that you've got to, have an income and all of that. But it's getting to the point now where, we've got to find some courage and we are going to have to just speak out despite the fact that there might be repercussions. So I hope the men's rights movement in this country starts to really build and really grow. And we look forward to having you back on the show again very, very soon, Bettina. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Damien.
Hope you enjoyed that clip. The Other Side is your weekly analysis of the media's best news and commentary without the woke. And we need your support. Please make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on X at The Other Side on X. It's all totally free to do that. But we could always do with your financial support too. So if you'd like to make a donation, click the Super Thanks button on YouTube with a little $ and thanks on it right under the video frame below. Even a $2 donation will really help us. And if you're watching on YouTube, do check out the full episode that this clip came from right here.